3, 2, 1, go.
All right, it's almost Valentine's Day. Let's make some hearts. So I'm going to hide this one first. So let's start with a cylinder. And I want to flip it towards me, so I'm going to tap the gizmo and I'm going to use snap. Make sure snap is on 90 degrees. There's two snaps. Make sure it's this one with the little angle thing. I'll turn it a little bit so you can see the red ring. We'll just snap it forward like that. And then let's squeeze this together. This will be the width of the heart. So let's tap gizmo and tap mirror. Okay, so let's validate them next. So now let's tap symmetry, vertex, and let's tap vertex here. And we should be able to stretch them up. So in order to do that, let's tap the symmetry and just go down and make sure you have show line. That'll just make everything easier. I'm also going to tap local, the correct symmetry. So see this blue line here? That's the one we want. So that's Z. So that's the only one that we'll have on. Just remember to hit local. I'll tap front again. So now we should be able to stretch this out. Whoops, or down. So we don't need to stretch it too much. Maybe that's good. So now let's tap pivot. And let's move the pivot down. And then we'll tap pivot again. And now we want to turn symmetry off. And we want to just put this back to auto. And let's voxel remesh. So let's voxel remesh around 130 or so. Remesh. And also this is just the remesh shortcut. It's the same as going here, voxel and remeshing. So now let's take this blue ring and then we can move them like this. Let's move them towards each other. Just make sure that it's as round as you want. We can adjust it a little bit later, but it's a little bit easier to adjust it now. So if you tap on the one on the left and then hit move and make the move pretty big, mine's at 271, the radius, and you can just make it a little more round if you want. You can see the straight line here. If you don't want that to be straight, then you can sort of move it out a little bit. And if you want the bottom to be sharper, just kind of pull down on it until it sharpens out. And then you can adjust it until it's pretty much how you like. And also we have symmetry. If you want, you can turn the symmetry off and just do it that way. That might be a little bit easier. So then once you're done adjusting it, then you can take them both and then validate them. So now they're one shape. So let's voxel remesh this, probably around 150 or so. And then you get one shape. So let's use smooth and let's just turn on. So we'll turn on X and Z and then you can just smooth this out. And it should smooth out both sides and left and right with the symmetry. Should make it a little bit smoother and cleaner. Of course, you can adjust it more if you need. And then what I would do is go into here, miscellaneous, and just decimate it. It doesn't need to be this big. So then you have a heart that you can sort of just use in other sculpts or something like that, or make something fun for Valentine's Day. But let's try a different heart. Let's add a sphere. All right, let's make it a little bit bigger. So I'm going to stretch this sphere out and I'm going to validate it and use move. And then let's use X. So we go to symmetry, we'll use X and Z. Make sure you have symmetry on with the move tool. And we're just going to make this a little bit more round. We can even make this a little bit more pointy at the bottom. Looks pretty good. We'll hit front. So let's take this and add a mirror. I want to be on the sphere. There we go. So there we go. So it just helps to move it away a little bit. I have a line on, so there's another thing that you can do. You can turn that off, and then it'll be aligned with the actual shape. So if you wanted to stretch this out a little bit, you might have to sort of adjust it as you go. Let's go ahead and voxel remesh them together. Let's just go crazy. So we'll validate. We'll voxel remesh them together, probably around 150, because we want it to be really soft. If you have round edge, you can use that. but we might have to just use smooth since we really want to smooth this out. So we'll smooth this out, and that's a really great heart. But again, it's very big. So we'll just go into here, miscellaneous, and you can decimate it. I'm going to put this down. So decimate it. Actually, let me save this. And I want to rename it to hearts. Okay, so let's decimate it. 2000 it looks good, so I'll keep it at 2000, even though it's a bit big. So let's make a really quick arrow for our heart. So we'll just hide this, and we'll add a box. So hit the gizmo and just stretch it out. Make it smaller. Stretch it out some more. That should be good. And yeah, we can shrink it all together. I think that's fine. Okay, so now we have our box, which will be the stem. And we can go ahead and validate it. So let's add another box. Let's use our gizmo and just, we want to shrink it down to roughly the same size. It can actually be a little bit bigger than the other box. Why not? And this one, let's bring it together and squeeze it together like this. I think that's good. We'll move this down to the bottom. We'll move it over. Maybe we'll make it a little bit longer. And let's do snap 45 degrees. So we'll just make it like that. And we can use a line then to move it just straight up and down. So feel free to adjust the size of it a little bit more. You can turn a line on and off. Like if you want it to be a little bit longer, you can just turn a line on and off. Let's make it a little thinner. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So next we can just hit mirror. So then we have the back part of our arrow. And again, if you want these to touch, you can just, we haven't validated it, so you can just bring that up so that they touch. And now we can go into the scene menu, take this box, which is our arrow, or whatever this is called on an arrow. I'm just going to clone it, and then I'll use gizmo to just move. I'll use a line to move the clone down to the bottom. They might need to go a little bit closer together. So I'll move this one down. Once we validate them, you can always like cut them down. I might try that. That might look cool. So I think this looks pretty good. I'm going to clone it again and move one up for the front part of our arrow. Looks great. And also another thing that you might want to do is turn smooth shading off. So if we go into this material thing, you can go down and smooth shading. You can turn that off and everything will just look crisper. You have to do it on every single, every piece though. So I'll go here, turn it off, and then go here and turn it off. Like so, because then it's going to look a little bit more clean. How big is the heart? Let's see how big the heart is. The heart is pretty big. So let's take our stem and this, we can go ahead and turn it and we can make it bigger and move it up. And then we can adjust the heart if we want. But this is not long enough, huh? So that's easy. We'll just use gizmo and we can just stretch it out. And then we can move our pieces. So we have this one and this one. So we'll take both of those and join them. And now yeah, there we go. Take this and move it up. Much better. So then we have a nice little arrow. And you can go ahead and voxel remesh the arrow together. You can adjust it, do anything that you want. But that's essentially how I would make a heart and an arrow. Make sure you check out my Skillshare classes. You can support me there. Also, you can check me out on Patreon. I'm putting a bunch of my 3D sculpt files and a bunch of other stuff on Patreon. So check me out there. Keep drawing, keep sculpting. I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching the video.
be sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to go more in depth, then definitely check out my Skillshare classes where I am a top teacher. I have about 50 classes, both Procreate and Nomad Sculpt. I also have a few classes on Udemy, so if you want to learn more, or you just like my style, you like the way I teach, you want to support me, those are some other places that you can do it. Thanks again, keep drawing, keep sculpting. I'll see you all in the next video.